Okay, solving quadratic equations. Notice it's not an expression anymore. Notice there is an equals in it. So that means we are looking for an answer to x. And when it's quadratic, there's sometimes two answers, okay? Sometimes only one, but quadratics, since there's two x's, it can have two answers. So what we're looking for is, we want this form here would be the nicest, but sometimes they're not. Sometimes you might get not equal to 0, which means you would have to rearrange it so it is equal to 0. Anything on this side, say there's something on this side, 10 or something like that, you'd have to move it to this side by doing the opposite. If that's plus 10, you have to do minus 10 to that side. Okay, anyway, we won't do that one, we'll just do a simple one. And of course I'd have to expand it, then I'd move it, and then I'd factorize it. Anyway, it's a little bit of complication there, but we've got a simple one, and all we need to do is this equation has to equal 0. So to get 0 as an equation, you have to multiply something by 0 to get equal to 0. So anything multiplied by 0 is going to get 0 there, isn't it? Something multiplied that. Now I don't understand the maths why something multiplied by 0 equals 0. I'm not sure exactly how that works, but it does. We know anything multiplied by 0 equals 0. It doesn't really matter if you understand the underlining reason, the identity principles and all that sort of stuff. But just we have to have something multiplied by 0 to get 0, which means in this brackets here, this has to equal 0 multiplied by something in this bracket to equal 0. Or vice versa, this could equal 0 multiplied by that to get 0, or vice versa, both of them could equal 0 to get 0. Okay? But you understand this bracket has to somehow equal 0 to multiply by that to get 0, or that has to be 0 to be that, vice versa, or both 0. Okay? So what we can do is we can just simply make these into mini equations that equal 0. So we can rewrite it if you want, or you can do a shortcut. So we'll go x plus 2 equals 0. So I have to make that x, I've got to make it so it equals 0. So what plus 2 equals 0? So if I go, if x is minus 2, and then I add 2, that will equal 0, won't it? Yeah? So that's one way around you can think of it. Add them together to equal 0, or you could rearrange it. You could go, well, I'm going to get x by itself, so I'm going to go x, I've got a plus 2, so I'm going to minus 2 to both sides. Okay, so it's going to be x minus 2, and see how I've just moved it the other side, making it a minus there to cancel out that side. Okay, now I've got x minus 2, and you notice you can see a pattern here. That's the opposite number to that, isn't it? But sometimes they're not so simple. But anyway, we know that this one here, if x is minus 2, that will be 0. So I have one answer there for this bracket here. That there is one answer, x, if it's minus 2 for that, whatever's in there, it doesn't matter, it will equal 0. So I've got one answer. Now the second one there, I've got to find something plus 7 equals 0. So we can do it like this, plus 7 equals 0. I can move it over to the other side, so x equals minus 7 to both sides, so minus 7, and I've got an answer. If this is minus 7 and I add 7, it's 0. Okay. Now looking at it, you can just look at it and go, that must be minus 7, so you don't have to do these steps. But anyway, I've got two answers, so minus 7. Okay, so that's simple as that. They're pretty straightforward. They're easy ones, but you can get ones that are a little bit more complicated, and you have to do some rearranging. So if this was 2x plus 2 equals, you have to make it 0, you would have to divide by 2 and things like that. Okay, so anyway, that's one of those. We could try another one. Let's try another one. Let's grab another one. Try and be fast, I don't want to make them too long. Want to go, what's another, yeah, okay, we'll try, I'm just trying to find one which is more interesting in the book. They might have one. Right, following equations. think we've, yeah, I think we've, okay, here's some. All right, we'll try this one. Yeah, here's a two-step problem. So we'll go x squared minus, what is it? Minus plus 5x, yep, plus 5x minus 36 equals 0. Okay, there we go. So in this question, we need to have things equal to 0, but you notice it's not in the brackets like before. It was easy. So now we have to factorize, so we have to do one more step before we can do it. So I'm going to factorize it by looking for things that multiply to get 36. So 1 times 36, yeah, 2 times, is it 18? It looks like 18 to me. I'll check that in a minute. And 6 times 6, 6 times 6, 36, that's right. I can't think of any others. But anyway, that list there, and I'm going to look for, there might be another one. Actually, hang on, let's see. To get 5x, I'm going to need 5x, I'm going to need another one. So 9 times 4, is that right? 9 fours? Yeah, there we go. Yep, so always check your products. I was running out of trying to think of the multiplication. Okay, so this one here should get me that one. Yeah. So it took me a while to think of all the multiplication. So I've multiplied it, made a list, and then I've worked out adding them together to get that number, or minusing. In this case, 9 minus 4. And this is a bit of a hint. Remember, plus or minus tells me one of them has to be a minus. Okay, so now I can factorize quite easily. I can chuck them into brackets, and I can go a minus 4 in that bracket and a plus 9 in that bracket, and it is equal to 1. Great, now I've factorized. It is straightforward to solve it. This has to equal 0, and this has to equal 0, or they both have to equal 0. So I'm going to get two answers. So x minus 4, I know that's going to have to be x is 4. I have 4 minus 4, that's 0. And this one here is x minus 9. Now, of course, I could work it out using algebra and go plus 9 equals 0. Minus 9 to both sides. Okay, that means x has to be equal to minus 9. Okay, so it works out two answers. And so this is a two-step problem. You have to factorize it first by doing a products list, and then you can solve for 0 in each one. So that's a two-step problem.